So hi guys, I'm Ilia. In this video, I just wanted to share my experiences in the academic journey and comeback I had from failing the selective school exams in year 6 and getting a score that was way below state average to being able to gain entrance into North Sydney Boys in year 11 and then subsequently being able to ace the HSC and get a very high ATAR of 99.9, which then allowed me to gain entrance into medicine at UNSW. I think this style of kind of informative video is very useful to a lot of students out there who are trying to kind of apply for selective schools. And I hope that everyone's able to kind of learn a bit from my experiences and be able to kind of have similar successes in the future. So firstly, I'm going to walk you guys through kind of my journey from year 4 to year 6, where I first immigrated to Australia and my kind of terrible selective score. Then I'm going to go through year 7 to 9 and then how I changed a lot of things in year 10 when I was applying to selective schools and how I was able to gain entrance. And then how I was able to kind of use these techniques throughout when I gained interest in North Sydney Boys and achieved very well in the HSC, which eventually led me to where I am today. So now in this portion of the video, I'm going to walk you guys through my journey from year 4 to year 6. So my parents initially immigrated to Australia in year 4 in 2014. And English was a completely new language to me. I had to be able to kind of learn how to speak well, how to write well, how to read well very quickly. And this was kind of a big challenge that I faced. Growing up in Iran, I spoke and wrote in Farsi, and this was the language that was always used there, and English wasn't practiced enough. So I struggled a lot throughout years 4, year 5, and year 6. And I had to go through various kind of ESL classes in school. So teachers would kind of held me back and they worked with me on my English. So I also tried for selective schools. My parents didn't have much hope in me, seeing that I kind of came to Australia very late. And I tried my best, but it didn't work out. My English score was obviously very bad in my selective exam. As you can see from here, I actually got a 156 out of 300 in the selective exam, which was way below the state average. The state average was 180 in 2016. Yep, so now I'm in year 7. I didn't really have many big aspirations, seeing that I kind of failed the selective exam. I really lost a lot of my confidence, and I just didn't really know what to do. I kind of went to year 7 just trying to enjoy high school. I just kind of went with the flow. I didn't really try too hard. I just did and tried well in the subjects I really liked, like maths, but in subjects I really hated, like English, I didn't try at all. Through year 7 to 9, I didn't really care that much because at that time, I didn't even know you could apply to a selective school. I thought that the selective exam was a one-time thing and that you couldn't reapply and gain entrance until I realized it at the end of year 9, when I kind of realized that, I can take this exam and I might be able to get into a selective school, which could massively help me in my kind of future career and the future opportunities I'm able to get. I tried really hard in year 10 in all my subjects, and I was able to perform decently well. I was able to kind of implement a study system that really allowed me to perform well in my exams, in my assignments, and I tried to do that very consistently, and through the kind of consistent effort and hard work I was able to put in year 10, I was able to get a very good report card. I tried very hard in my assignments, especially. I remember spending a lot of days on them in year 10 and trying to maximize my marks as much as possible. And through the kind of system I had, that worked very well for me. And then I had to sit the kind of exams for North Sydney Boys in year 10, and I practiced for them for a very long time. I consistently did a lot of practice in the past 6 months leading up to the exam, especially in something like English, because I knew it was my weak point. I really tried to do as much practice as I could in terms of writing, in terms of being able to kind of read different styles of texts. And using the kind of system I try to develop, it eventually worked out for me. And I think the kind of study system I have and the strategies that I developed really worked well. And that kind of allowed me to gain entrance into North Sydney Boys. So now, at this point of the video, you might be asking, Ilia, why should I go to a selective school? What's the point? I would say that selective schools, especially with how the HSC works and how kind of year 12 works, in gaining entry into courses in university, getting into a good school is very important, because the main point is your marks could be determined by how well your cohort does in your school. So if you go to a better school where students perform very well on a kind of consistent basis in the HSC, you would definitely get a higher average ATAR, so the average student in that school would do a lot better. So definitely going to a selective school, I would say, is a big advantage in year 12. I would say you can still get into very competitive courses like medicine and law, be going to a normal comprehensive school. But I think going to a selective school kind of gives you a safety net, because then if you don't do that well in your external exams, your internal marks will still be able to kind of push your ATAR to a high kind of range, right? So I think, yeah, going to a selective school definitely gives you a safety net in the HSC and in year 12, and it kind of gives you some security that your ATAR will be good because of how well you performed in school. So now in 2021, after I got kind of entrance into North Sydney Boys, I started going to that high school. I'd say I had to really adjust to the academic environment there. Obviously, a lot of students were very hardworking, and it was very different to my comprehensive school. I had to really be able to adapt quickly and make a lot of new friends and kind of get used to that social environment. But I think I could kind of see that I was able to fit into that environment well, because I was a bit nerdy in kind of year 7 to 10 as well. I kind of saw that North Sydney Boys really fit my character and who I felt I was. So for example, I'll give an example of this. In my previous comprehensive high school, I used to play a lot of chess, but not many people used to go to chess club, and it wasn't something that was kind of promoted a lot. People usually kind of looked down upon me. I remember like sitting in my classroom playing chess, and people would walk past going to the soccer fields, and they would kind of look at me as if I was like some nerd who kind of doesn't know what to do, like, or socialize well. But being chess, because it was my interest, I kind of felt a bit attacked on in that kind of environment, and it was kind of deterred me from playing because how other people viewed me. After going to North Sydney Boys, however, I think it was a very different environment that personally fitted me. A lot of people, for example, played a lot of chess at lunchtime. I found friends who we got very close with through chess, and that was something I really valued. For example, chess is one example. I would say, for example, the teamwork and camaraderie that we also had at North Sydney Boys was something that was very new to me, and it was something that I really liked. We all played a lot of sports together, for example, soccer, and we got really close together through that. And I think the kind of teamwork that we kind of developed carried us through in the HSC as well. We all really worked well together, especially after our trial exams, where we try to kind of share resources, and we kind of try to improve each other to make sure that we do very well in our external exams. So a lot of people kind of look downly upon selective schools. They think that they're just ATAR factories and that people just study all day. But I think it's a lot more different than that. The friendships you're able to really build in that environment where everyone has similar goals or everyone's very like-minded, you all have similar interests in terms of extracurriculars, you're able to really build very close connections, and you can see that you're able to improve yourself because other people are able to kind of perform at a higher level. So that kind of friendly competition you have with others is able to really improve your own abilities. And that's something I really enjoyed as a person because I was very competitive, and it really allowed me to grow and improve going into that new environment. Yes, so now in terms of kind of academics, obviously because I got a 156 in selective, and everyone else who got into North Sydney Boys probably got something like a 230 or a 225 or a very high selective score, I was obviously very kind of, I didn't have much confidence knowing that there was no way I would be able to kind of do better academically than all the 150 other students in my cohort. I kind of didn't really think that I would do well, but I just didn't really also compare myself to others. I just really tried to do my own best in year 11 when I got in, and I just kept on using the discipline and system I had built in year 10. And I knew that it worked for me previously, so I kept on using it. I kept kind of adjusting it a bit to make sure it's as efficient as possible and that it's able to really maximize my learning. And that kind of study system I had really allowed me to learn through fundamentals and not just memorize concepts. And that's what really allowed me to perform really well in year 11. I actually somehow got the dux of my year when I transferred into North Sydney Boys, which was something that I couldn't even fathom. It was I thought that would be something impossible. Going to someone who got a 156 in selective, going to North Sydney Boys, currently they're ranked number 1 high school in New South Wales, and being able to come out as dux in that year. So I thought that kind of achievement I had was something that was really valuable to me, because it really showed that if you're able to put in the hard work and dedication through a system or a routine that you know works, and you don't try and compare yourself to others, and you really try and grind out those questions, do as many practice exams as you can, and really just work on your own abilities rather than comparing yourself to others, that really allows you to succeed very well. So after kind of my success in year 11, I kind of built a lot of confidence, seeing that I was able to perform at a decent academic level in this kind of very high achieving environment. And that kind of really gave me the confidence going into year 12. And I felt very kind of confident in my abilities. And I, again, try to use the same system and the same strategies. And yeah, that kind of, the strategies I used really worked throughout year 12. I was very consistent in my study. I also studied very hard, but at the same time, I try to really study smart, because sometimes studying very hard doesn't always give you the optimum output that you want. I would say the HSC is a game where you really need to work on your weaknesses and try and improve on them the most. For example, for me, being kind of a first generation immigrant, as I talked before, I came to Australia in 2014 and I sat my HSC in 2022. So I had to learn English in about 8 years and be able to perform very well in year 12 in the HSC, because the HSC English is very difficult, especially English Advanced. You have to be able to write 3 essays basically in 2 hours in paper 2, and that's very hard. So I kind of knew my weakness in year 12, that it was definitely English. So I really tried to work on that a lot. So yeah, that's kind of one technique or tip I use, to really focus on your weaknesses, because if you're able to improve your weaknesses and become very all-rounded in all your subjects, you know that you can perform very well. So now kind of looking back on my achievements and how I was able to eventually get into medicine at UNSW, I'll definitely say that getting into a selective school is very crucial. I would have definitely not been able to achieve the results I did and get the very high ATAR I did without North Sydney Boys. That kind of environment where I was able to learn a lot from others, and really able to learn a lot from the bright minds in Sydney, really allowed me to perform well in the HSC. I remember we had a lot of study groups in year 12, and we really tried to teach each other concepts and teach each other how to do different questions. And that really allowed me to perform really well in my external exams and get a very high ATAR of 99.9. So I would say that definitely going to a selective high school definitely gives you an edge in the HSC, in that you're not able to only be kind of have that safety net in your internal marks, but you're also able to work well with very like-minded people who want to achieve high marks. And that really gets you above and beyond. It allows you to get marks that are very high. So I'd say, yeah, that environment definitely allowed me to get to where I am today, and I couldn't have done it without it. I would also say the kind of system that I had, the study system I had throughout year 10, year 11, year 12, contributed a lot to my academic success. It was not only kind of the hard work that I put in the long hours, but it was also knowing what to study at what time, what practice questions to do, what should you focus on, being able to kind of categorize the things you need to work on, making a kind of study schedule, knowing exactly what you're supposed to kind of do to be able to perform in an exam, kind of being able to breaking down every part of the exam and then practicing kind of very fine details consistently to be able to perform. So guys, now if you kind of want to learn the strategies and techniques I used through in year 10, for example, to be able to get into North Sydney Boys, and the kind of practice I did for that exam, you can email me at selectivespecialist@gmail.com to kind of book a free consultation. And if you guys have any questions, comment it down below in the video. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.